Right.
All right, let's get to it.
All right, let's go. Boom.
How you talking opinions, but where your facts at? I think it's time that we pull up and do a fact check. Hung again, we calling you to the circle. I'm tired of hearing the bull, I'm questioning your discernment, Like how you question the people that's really earned it, the people that's really working. Type of stuff for the circus, only move with a purpose.
Yo, welcome to the Bywhatright podcast. I'm your host. My name is Ronald Robinson. I have my co-host with me.
What's going on? My name's Kyle Drayden. Happy to have you guys here.
Yes, man. Thanks for joining us. We know we have a lot of people that's been showing us a lot of support, and we really appreciate it. I can't state how much it means that you guys see value in what we're trying to do. But in addition to seeing actual value, though, I have to be honest with you. I've had a number of people that are supporting. They're watching.
Right, definitely.
You know, they're following our socials, they're commenting, they're liking, they're sharing, all these different things. But one, a good buddy of mine who didn't even know we were doing this actual project came up to me like, he said, you guys say you guys are different, but I'm trying to figure out exactly how you're different. Have you had any of that?
Yeah, I was actually talking to my mom. She was trying to figure out exactly what we were doing. And then talking to my sister, she was trying to figure out exactly what we were doing as well. But I guess the issue is that I guess they're trying to figure out exactly what type of what exactly our app is actually doing. And I think that's what they were trying to get clarification on, like between the app and then the actual podcast, or like how those two things correlate in a sense. And it's kind of like, you know, trying to find a simple way of how to like break it down. So that's pretty much what I had to do with them, and then a few other people. But for the most part, people are understanding it, but it's just, I mean, I think the topic is so new and it's so revolutionary that people, it's kind of hard to grasp unless you like really get it. So I think if we kind of explain it a little bit better than what we did before, which I think we did a good job of explaining it, but still for those who, even if this is like, you know, your first time coming to the show, just being able to kind of explain exactly what the NSL app is, and then what the Bywhat podcast is.
Yeah, we're going to do that. That's the whole where we're going to start the show. We want to start the show real quick, recapping exactly what the show's about, you know, what we're doing. So there's two entities, right?
Right.
You see the logos behind me. There's the National Sportscaster League, okay? And then there's the Bywhatright podcast.
Right.
And they work together, okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to talk about the actual we want to talk about the actual National Sportscaster League, okay? And let's do that. So the National Sportscaster League, I'm going to take my time here.
Oh, yeah.
Because I definitely want to make certain that we get this out here, because I want people to understand exactly why this is going to be so much fun.
Mama needs to understand what's going on.
Oh, you know what? My mama needs to understand what's going on as well.
Right.
You know, this is why it's going to be so much fun, right? The National Sportscaster League is a newly formed professional sports league, okay? It's a newly formed professional sports league,
so it's kind of like any other, well, I won't say it's like any other sports league, but it's its own sport, you know, like how you have a basketball, well, you have basketball as its own sport, its own entity. You have football, you have rugby, soccer, whatever sport you want to go in there. Like we said before, the slap league, I mean, it's its own special sport. So that's kind of what NSL is in a sense.
Yeah, no, not in a sense. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's its own sport.
Right.
Now, who's the competitors? Who are competing against each other? Well, the competitors are sportscasters.
Right.
Like the favorite sportcasters that people watch, all these shows that people are committed to watching, those are the competitors in this actual league. And you know what? They could be considered unwilling competitors.
Yeah, definitely unwilling. You know, if they don't understand the concept, or well, I mean, I guess the concept is kind of easy to grasp, but even if, you know, just their job in a sense, well, just their job, that's their arena of play in a sense.
Correct.
You know, so yeah.
So, you know, they are the competitors, and it's more of a cerebral sport.
Right.
I would liken it to, let's say, you know, fantasy sports, which is cerebral, except it's played, you know, that's normally played by us, not professionals, even though you have some professionals that have their own professional fantasy sports league. Let's say like chess. Because it's cerebral. Like it's intellect about the actual game of chess, or poker. Like intellect about the actual game of poker, where we're looking to rank these sportscasters on their intellect about sports, period.
Definitely. Right.
These sportcasters, and you know, there's so many names, I'm not going to name them. I always start with Stephen A. Smith, just because he's so prominent. Like he's so successful at, you know, what he's been able to do. He's been able to convince people that he is the subject matter expert on a number of different sports, football, basketball. I mean, he reports across the board on sports. So, but they've positioned themselves as being the best, but they're positioning themselves as being the best solely based off subjective opinions.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, And that's kind of contrary to sports as a whole.
Right, because like we always I guess the main point that we're trying to make here is, sports is definitely based on the numbers. It's driven by the data. So what the issue is that we kind of the issue that we saw is that, okay, we have sportscasters, but there's no data driven behind the sportscasters, kind of, I guess, to kind of rank these sportscasters, if they're good, bad, are they efficient in what they're doing, So I guess the main purpose of the NSL is to actually have this, this quantitative data opposed to the subjective data that, I guess everybody has been going on for years. I mean, since the beginning of, sportcasting time, and just actually having some actual hard raw data that you can actually put up against these sportscasters in a sense, to kind of gauge how they are in a sense.
Exactly. And the data has always been out there, right?
Right.
The data's been out there. We just never really thought to collect it, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the genius with the actual National Sportscaster League is that we're going to take the data that's already out there in the field, and we're going to capture that data. Mm-hmm. And with that data speaks to exactly their knowledge about the subject in which they talk to. And the data that we're referring to is going to be their predictions.
Right.
Within the NFL season, sportscasters are routinely on our TVs between Monday and Friday, talking about analyzing matchups that's coming up either Thursday night, like tomorrow there's a matchup,
right,
and Sunday, and then of course Monday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
And they're making predictions as to who they think is going to win and why they think they're going to win. And typically when they make their predictions, they're not timid about the predictions that they make. They're very confident.
Oh yeah, it's
about their predictions.
It's always a confident prediction that they make when it comes to any prediction that they make about a sports team. But I guess that is just because there's no backing behind it. Like there's no I guess there's no backlash, or there's no we don't revisit those predictions that they make. You can make a prediction on Thursday Night Football, it could be completely wrong, and you're not going to speak about it because you're wrong. But if you make a prediction on Thursday night and then it happens to be right, then you want to bring it back up.
Exactly.
So I guess there's no accountability in a sense, and I guess the main purpose of the NSL app is to bring accountability, quantitative accountability to these sportscasters.
You know what? And you said a key word here: accountability.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I like that word, accountability. Everyone else is held in sports is held accountable.
Oh.
And typically they're held accountable by the sportscasters, which is extremely ironic.
Exactly.
Sportscasters hold the players accountable.
Mm-hmm.
If the players aren't performing, they talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
If the team is underperforming, they talk about it. If the ownership is underperforming, the general manager is underperforming, they all talk about that as well.
And what do they use to I guess to gauge their conversation? Numbers.
Everything is based on numbers. So what we're trying to do is we're going to try to collect quantitative data.
Mm-hmm.
The data that we're going to collect is their predictions. Now they make the predictions and we capture the predictions. So the question then becomes, how are you guys involved in the whole capturing? Because I think that's the key right here.
Right.
Because it's not something that we can do, me and you can do ourselves.
Right.
It's a crowdsourced opportunity. So we want everyone to get involved with this whole process of capturing that actual data. And
like we said before, the app is very simple to use. However you listen to your favorite sportscaster, you just go on the app. You type their name in if it's not already there, which it should be at this point. Type their name in, figure out what medium they are that you're watching them on. Mm-hmm. You enter the prediction of what day and time that you've seen the prediction. You hit submit, and boom, that prediction will forever be in the sportscasters, I guess, in the NSL archive.
Yeah. Now you said app, but you jumped it.
I jumped it.
So for people who didn't know and didn't catch that, there's an app. Okay.
Right.
The National Sportscaster League has an app. The app is currently available on the Apple Store, and the Google Android version of the app is currently in production. We should have it there momentarily, but for right now, anyone with the Apple access to the Apple Store can go to the Apple Store, download the app on their phone, and that's the tool that we're using to crowdsource and all these predictions made by actual sportscasters. So, like you said,
right,
people who choose to participate in this new league, it doesn't really take much effort to participate in the league.
It's very simple.
Here's the thing. People are already sitting down watching these shows. These shows are becoming extremely popular in a way that I don't really recall them being popular in the past.
Right.
Like sportscasters are getting contracts equivalent and then sometimes superior to the actual people playing the sport.
Definitely. Sometimes you see sportscaster. I mean, they're getting like NFL contracts because we all know, like, baseball. I want to say they make some of the largest contracts, and then you have basketball, and then NFL players. They're somewhere in there as well. But I mean, a lot of these sportscasters. I mean, they're getting professional numbers. They're getting millions of dollars to be up there. Giving their input on these different athletes. These different teams. Whatever it may be on. Like you said, the owners. And how these how these actual teams are operating and how productive they are in a sense. So, I mean, the main thing here is that we want to put numbers behind the subjective, behind your subjective opinion on these people.
Yeah, because we don't think it's fair for them to be ranked on subjective data when everyone they critique and everyone else that's in sports, there's very few sports that are based on subjective information. Even the sports that are subjective, like snowboarding or stunning or whatever those sports that are considered art sports, for the Olympics. Even those sports then get a numerical value assigned to the performance at the conclusion
based
of the performance.
Based on the difficulty of the trick that they do. The stunt, the order of how they combine the stunts that they do. I mean, there's a whole thing to it. And then as far as Sportscaster, it's really just, as of right now, it's just how many people are watching you.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you entertaining? It doesn't really matter if you're right or wrong these days. It's more so, can you bring a crowd? Yeah,
and I think because of that, and because there's no numerical quantitative data put on the actual professional sportscasters, sports media, and they work so closely with sports, it's incomplete.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the National Sportscaster League, what we're trying to do is we're trying to complete that process. Let's put them into a competitive arena as well.
Exactly.
Hold them to some type of accountability, and that's how we do it. We do that as a group through the utilization of the actual Apple app for now, and then when we have the Google Play Android version of the app available, you guys can also download the app and start crowdsourcing and gathering these actual predictions as well as you sit there and watch TV. Like I was saying before, it doesn't really require you to do anything. You don't have to watch any extra shows
at all,
because this is not for everybody.
Right.
This is for people who watch sports media.
Exactly.
Bottom line is that's a lot of people. I'm comfortable just sticking with those people because we're fanatics in this country.
And what's crazy about you saying that it's for sports fanatics and people who like sports media. I was actually talking to my sister the other day, and she's just like, she doesn't like sports. I mean, she doesn't really watch sports. She may watch them here and there, but she was telling me, when she was watching the podcast and how we were explaining the app, she's just like, I want to go download the app so I can, go try and find these predictions. It's kind of like playing Where's Waldo in a sense, where, when you're watching these sportscasters, and it's almost like betting in a sense where, you give yourself something to watch. Like you have like a goal in mind. So it kind of gives the actual user or the actual watcher something to actually actively do while you're watching these sportscasters. So it's making them into the sport, like how you watch basketball and you're like, okay, you make a bet on basketball. I need LeBron to score, 20 points tonight and have 3 rebounds or something like that. Now today, when it comes to the NSL app, it's more so, are they going to make a prediction, or can I find the prediction? When are they going to make the prediction? Let me watch to see when the prediction is going to happen, or let me listen to this podcast to see when this prediction is actually made, and then let me go to the app and put in, because I find it addictive now.
Yeah, I love it. I love
when
it.
I'm watching, because it gives you you become now an active watcher of the sport of sportscaster.
Yeah,
sportscasting.
And another thing that is very similar to what we're actually trying to do is fantasy sports. Fantasy sports is one of the biggest things to happen to the NFL, because fantasy sports, although there's baseball, fantasy, and basketball family, most people recognize fantasy sports with the NFL. So on the backbone of the actual game that's being played, you have a number of people maybe watching a game that they normally wouldn't watch, and they're watching a game solely because their wide receiver plays on that game.
Exactly.
So on the backbone of the actual game that's playing, people are watching their own game or their own player, their own form of entertainment, in a second dimension in a way. And that's kind of what the NSL is for sports media. So we have all these games that are actually played on Sundays primarily, but then you have sports media that comes on 5 days a week.
5 days a week.
And sometimes people watch every show.
Exactly.
And while you're watching that show, consuming your actual sports media that you love to consume, listen to your favorite sportscaster. Why he's your favorite, I don't know. It's subjective. It's not numerical.
Subjective.
You can't say it's numerical because no one's doing it yet.
It's whatever you deem.
If whatever you deem, that's why you do it. But don't you want to know exactly if this guy knows what he's talking about?
Exactly.
Don't you want to know exactly if how this guy competes and compares with other people that's in the same field at all these different shows, because they're shows back to back.
Especially if you're a fan of sports.
Exactly.
Like that, it makes it competitive, where it's just like, okay, you have your favorite in any other sports, in any other sports league, right? Why not have your favorite sportscaster and then have the actual quantitative data to back up why there's your favorite?
Exactly.
Because we're fans of the sport, we're fans of sportscasters, like we're all fans of these people. Why not have them actually be the players and actually have data behind to support why they're your favorite, rather than just being subjective of, I like what they're saying, or whatever it may be.
So to advance forward, now I think we've given people a very clear understanding of what the National Sportscaster League is trying to accomplish. We're trying to make sportscasters compete against other sportscasters. It's only fair that if they have such strong opinions about competitors, that they should be willing and able and should be put to some competition themselves. I think it's only fair.
They have strong opinions about competitors, so now they are the competitors.
And I think it's very fun as well, more importantly.
I think it's fair. It's definitely fun. And I think depending on what sportcasters adopt this or see this, whenever they do see this, it's more so I think they will enjoy the fact of that they get to compete now. Because it's like right now it's just like, okay, we have ratings. Okay, that's cool. But do you have actual data backing up your predictions that you're making to also back up the actual data points that you're making? Because, I just seen Stephen A on a podcast, and, he's running with, I got the numbers. I've been running with these numbers for, 12 years straight. I got these numbers. But it's just like, okay, you have these, these ratings because you're interesting, clearly. But are you actually giving out accurate predictions that back up those numbers?
Because once again, you may have those numbers on your ratings, but are you knowledgeable about the game? Because when it comes to making predictions and analyzing matchups, you have to have some knowledge about how the game is played, how advantages on one side is going to impact the game, or disadvantages or injuries or things of that nature. So that takes a little bit more knowledge. And I know a lot of my friends, we're in group chats all the time. We talk about sports all the time. I guarantee I know people that are more knowledgeable about the game of sports than Stephen A. Smith.
More knowledge than you.
I just feel that way in my heart of hearts, So and I go to my grave feeling that way. Go to my grave feeling that way. So we talked about the National Sportscaster League. Okay, that's one entity, but the Buy What Right podcast is a completely separate entity. Okay, and let's talk about that real quick so everyone knows why we're here. So this is the Buy What Right podcast. Okay, on the Buy What Right podcast, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be reporting the quantitative data that's collected in the National Sportscaster League app, and how that data ranks the actual sportscasters. Okay, so that's what the actual podcast is for. We're being sponsored by the National Sportscaster League. They're who's paying for everything that you see here, right? And we're going to take the data that's collected within the app, which we have a lot of data collected in the app. Just from the first 2 weeks, we already have a few hundred.
And like you're saying, that's all crowdsourced data.
All crowdsourced data.
It's not just us two doing this. I mean, it's everybody who sees the vision and enjoys sports. I mean, if you enjoy sports, you're going to enjoy the app. I guarantee it.
Exactly. So that's what the podcast is for. We're going to be talking about that quantitative data, and we're going to see how the leaderboard adjusts and change throughout the actual season, because our season, the National Sportscaster League has a very long season, but there are also divisions within the season.
Definitely.
Right now, we're in the NFL division portion of the season, because the NFL is the primary league that's going on right now.
Right.
Okay. So there will be a divisional leader. There would be a divisional winner for the NFL division, and then there will be a divisional leader for the NBA division when we get to that part of the actual year, and then there will be an overall division champion, because there are people who commentate on NFL, and then they just roll right into basketball. The NBA and they commentate on basketball as well.
Keep the lights on at home.
So we'll be talking about that as well. So that's what we're going to be doing here. That's the purpose of the actual Buy What Right podcast. But in addition to talking about the quantitative data that's collected within the actual National Sportscaster League app, we also are going to discuss subject issues within the field of sports media, because our game that we're watching, we're not watching the same game everybody else is watching. Now,
our game is always evolving.
Our game, you'll see us talk about football. You'll see us talk about different things there, but we talk about it in the context as far as how the sports media intertwines into that whole thing. So that we're going to stay in that lane.
And I think it's very key, like you were saying before about the actual league, like it's a very intellectual sport. Like it's very like it's one for the minds, So, like last week when we were discussing, different topics, it wasn't really the actual topic or the actual game that we're discussing. It's more so how sportscasters actually view these games and how they're commentating on these actual games, and if they're actually accurate in what they're saying, or are they making these accurate predictions about these games, or even about these social ideas. Are these sportscasters actually right about what they're saying, or are they just, like I always like to say, are they spewing nonsense?
Exactly. And so when we're sitting here watching actual sportscasters and sportscasters rather, and they're programming, just like with fantasy football, we're watching the game within the show. There's a game happening within that show that's taking place in the game we're watching. Is he going to make a prediction? Because a lot of times, like you say, they'll talk all around the subject and never make a prediction.
Never.
Are they confident? Do they think they understand if you don't make a prediction? I don't know.
I think they're confident, but it's almost they're confident because they know they're like I said earlier, there's no accountability. So you can say like, okay, I think who's playing this week? I think the 49ers are going to win, but say they don't win, no one's going to come back and say, hey, you remember last week you said the 49ers were going to win and they actually lost? No one is doing that but the NSL.
Yes, correct. So that's exactly what we're doing here, all right? So we understand what the the NSL is. We understand what the By What Right podcast is going to be actually discussing. Mm-hmm. So I think people should have a better idea, but the people should be interested in what's going to happen today, okay? Today we're going to do something that we've been excited about doing for a long time.
Been waiting to do this.
Today we're actually going to expose our first leaderboard, and we're going to talk about the top 10 people at the end of week 1 in the NSL league as far as the predictions made and things of that nature. But before we get into that, we got to ask you guys a favor, right? All right, do us a favor. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Go to our YouTube page, like our YouTube page. That's where we have the bulk of our full videos, our full lives, but all of our social media platforms. We would definitely love to have you guys support. So like, comment, subscribe, and do us a favor and give us your viewership and your support so we can make sure this thing sees how far we can actually take it.
And then even in that, when you're on these, whatever social media app that you're on, because we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, we're on TikTok now. So it's just like whatever media you are on, if you like the content, share it with somebody. And if you don't like the content, if you think we're completely off base, share it to somebody.
Yeah, comment.
Yeah, comment.
You know what? I'm gonna get into it, but I had someone come at me a little bit about my Nick Wright segment. Yeah. I talked about Nick Wright in week 2. If anybody watched the actual episode last week, I had a little Nick Wright segment.
Right.
If you've watched the show, you know I'm not a huge fan. He had a rough week 1.
Data supports
and
it.
You know what? Let me hold up. I want to talk about that. I do want to talk about that when we will get to Nick Wright, and I will talk about Nick Wright and kind of like some heat I took for my take on Nick Wright. But before we actually go into that, I do want to recognize our second sponsor. The National Sportscaster League is our second sponsor, but we do have another sponsor that's supporting the actual program. Sean P. McKee.
Sponsor. The National Sportscaster
League. National Sportscaster League is our first sponsor. Our second sponsor, Sean P. McKee. He's operating out of Birmingham, Alabama. He does lawn and pressure washing services. Great service, quality service. Give him a call at 470-599-0296. That's 470-599-0296. You've seen his ad. It's going to continue to show in our actual our commercial segment on the bottom right hand corner of our actual screen. This is just a larger version of that same placement. But once again, we do have ad space available for other business owners who are interested in promoting their actual business with the actual podcast. We would love to work with you and partner with you. So keep us in mind for your advertising needs.
Definitely.
Any question on that?
Oh, no questions. Thank you for the putting the ad out here, and we're gonna push it out for you.
Oh, definitely. I know the guy does quality service, so we'll continue to put his information out there. Definitely. So let's go ahead and get to the actual leaderboard, shall we?
Here we go.
All right. So this is going to be the first leaderboard. This is week 2. Now let me tell you a couple things about the leaderboard before we get too far into it.
Let's talk about this.
So first of all, we had over 39 to 40 sportscasters that have been put into the actual system, and they have had predictions recorded by you guys in the actual app in order to hold them accountable for the predictions that they made.
That's good.
But there has to be some qualifications as far as making it to the actual top 10 list, right?
Not everybody getting on that leader. Not everybody will make it.
And here's why. The qualifications are necessary because you had some people who may have only had like one prediction logged. And if they have one prediction logged in the actual system and they were right on that prediction, they're 100%.
Exactly.
That's not that ain't gonna fly. You can't have one prediction be 100% and think that's gonna put you at the top of the actual league. That's not how it's gonna work.
Because you make one prediction all year and then you just sit at the top.
And you just hold on to it.
Right.
So what we're going to do is we require, and this is in the official rule book that we have, we require a minimum of 2 predictions recorded per week of the NFL season. Okay. So since we're in week 2, anyone to be eligible to make the actual list had to have at least 4 total predictions recorded in the actual app. Does that make sense?
Right. So week 1, you make 2 predictions. It could be a Thursday night game, Sunday game, or Thursday night game, Monday night game, or 2 games on Sunday, whatever it is. That's for week 1. And then as we move into week 2, 2 more predictions, whatever those predictions are. And then that's how we got to this top 10 list that we're at now.
Yeah. So now, even with the requirement of them having at least 4 predictions made, since we're in week 2, Then after you are eligible to be on the leaderboard, then we rank people on how successful their prediction was based on percentages.
Okay.
Right? So the eligibility was the number of predictions, and then we ranked based off that. So we had maybe of the 38, 40 sportscasters in the system, we had 20, 21 of them that were actually eligible.
Okay.
And now we're going to show you the top 10 as far as percentage of predictions made. Fair enough?
That's fair.
All right, let's get to it. All right, here we go. All right, so we're starting with number 10. Number 10 is Joy Taylor. Joy Taylor, she was 8 of 15 at a 53.3% success rate on her actual predictions. Are you familiar with Joy Taylor?
I'm not familiar with Joy Taylor.
Let me tell you a little bit about it.
Okay.
Joy Taylor is a sports commentator on The Speak.
The Speak. Okay.
The Speak. I don't know if you watched that show.
I don't think I've seen that show.
I watched the show, and you're going to be surprised about the actual Speak. But the first thing I want to say about Joy Taylor, and the fact that she is cracked the top 10, is that it's a sport, but this sport is even killed. There's not a physical component to it, so it's all cerebral. So women who decide to support the actual league, it's a fair playing field.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there are some people of the masculine persuasion that didn't make the top 10. A lot of people that didn't make the actual top 10.
About that too,
the top 10. So, keep that in mind. But Joy Taylor, she broke into the actual top 10, 8 of 15, and she made a significant number of predictions. Now, and let me tell you another thing about the predictions here. These are only the predictions that are captured in the actual app.
Right, that's key. Because, a lot of these sportcasters, like we said earlier, we're not able to capture all these predictions, but based on the predictions that we have captured, this is the number, the data that we do have. And this is the only, sports data that is actually out there. So this is the data.
Yeah, this is the data.
This is the data.
What our hope is, as we get more people involved, more people to kind of catch on, they'll download the app, and we have more people submitting data in there. So we may be able to capture. And I'm not saying this isn't all the predictions that she made, because I scoured and looked at all these shows throughout the actual week trying to find predictions, and based off what I saw and based off what other people actually input in the app, she made a total of 15. She was 8% correct. Now, one question here: did you think 53.3% success rate would be at 10? I thought that was kind of high. I don't know exactly why I thought, it was going to be some person at about maybe a 60-65% would be number one.
Right.
So the fact that she's at number 10 at 53.3, I thought that was really high.
And I remember we were discussing it when we first started talking about it. What percentage would actually, what would be deemed, a top sportscaster.
We had no clue.
And now we actually have numbers where it's just like, okay, we're above 50%. So
already at number 10,
more than half.
So that's number 10, Joy Taylor. All right, let's go to the next analyst. At the number 9 spot, we have Stephen A. Smith.
Whoa.
Stephen A. Smith ranked number 9. He was 3 of 5. 60% successful. And he comes in at the number 9 spot. Have to be honest with you, I didn't think he'd crack the top 10.
Really?
I didn't think he would, but see, that's the whole point. We don't know exactly how these people, how well they analyze it, because there's never been data to support it. It's always been subjective. But Stephen A. Smith proved me wrong in week 2. I have to be honest.
Okay.
So he cracked the top 10. I'm actually surprised to see him, but I'm not. It doesn't hurt my feelings or anything. I mean, he cracked the top 10. He cracked it.
I had high hopes for Stephen A. just because I know how, because I know how much he, loves the game of basketball and football. Like, those are kind of like his go-to sports. So I was actually expecting him to be higher on the list. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I just know how much time he actually puts into understanding the history of basketball and just
you're high on Stephen A. Smith, bro.
Yeah.
I don't get it. You're high on Stephen A. Smith, man. So, you're high on him. Okay, well, cool. Be a fan.
Yeah, right.
Everybody needs fans. Of course, if you don't know, Stephen A. Smith says that every time he's being interviewed, he's a host of the longest highest rated sports show for 11 years, First Take. So everybody should know who Stephen A. Smith is.
He's at 12 now from that last podcast that he was on.
Let's go ahead and move up to number 8 and see who's in the number 8 spot.
Let's see.
In the number 8 spot, we have Ryan Clark.
Okay.
My guy.
Yeah, that's your guy.
I said in episode 1, if anybody watched it, Ryan Clark is one of my favorite sportcasters. I'm a big fan.
I think he's very objective.
I'm a big fan. And Ryan Clark, Ryan Clark operates in sportscasting for me in the same vein of a Stuart Scott.
Okay.
He's classy. I can't really recall him getting out of pocket, out of character, because sometimes people just say things that are wild, and I don't really recall Ryan Clark doing that. And I'm not saying he didn't. It's possible I didn't see it, but whenever I watch him, I'm always impressed as far as how he goes about his profession and how he goes about his sports commentating.
I think people were getting on him that one time when he made a comment about Tua and something about Tua and his weight gain or something like that, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah,
Ryan Clark, he's like a Swiss Army knife, man. I've seen him on all kinds of shows. Like I want to pin him down on, pause. I want to say that he was on a particular show, but as far as my notes here, I just have him ESPN on multiple programs because I've seen him on multiple programs. But Ryan Clark cracks the top 10. He's at the number 8 spot at a 66.7% successful rate on his predictions.
Okay,
let's move to the number 7 spot. At number 7, we have Emmanuel Acho. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Are you familiar with him?
I have no idea who that is.
Okay, I know him. He is also a host on The Speak, the same program that Joy Taylor is on, and he was 12 of 18 at 66.7%. Now, he is, as you notice, he is above Ryan Clark, even though they're at the same percentage. He's above Ryan Clark because the tiebreaker is number of predictions.
Oh, okay.
And he has a significantly higher number of predictions than Ryan Clark at 18.
Okay, that makes sense.
I'm a fan of Ryan Clark, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sorry. I say Ryan Clark. Emmanuel Ocho. Am I a fan? You know what? He does a good job. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a fan. The Speak wasn't really a show that I really paid much attention to.
I'm going to check it out now that I see these numbers and see what they got going on over there.
But I can tell you, I've seen the top 10. You haven't. Okay. And I can tell you, The Speak, we're going to talk about The Speak a little bit more because there may be something to be said about The Speak. Okay. All right. Let's move to the next actual spot. In the number 6 spot, we have Shady McCoy. Shady McCoy, ex-running back in the NFL. 13 of 18 at 72.2% success rate on his predictions.
That's solid.
He is also a host on The Speak.
Whoa.
Yeah.
The
Speak has 3 people currently already in the top 10.
Okay.
Shady McCoy, he had something that went viral. I can't really think of what it was. I'm not going to hold everybody up on it. But Shady McCoy, I like him as a commentator. He's very direct. He's very knowledgeable. Obviously, he played in the actual league a considerable amount of time at a very high level.
Right.
I'm a Shady McCoy fan. So
on The Speak, we got Shady McCoy, Emmanuel, and Joy. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Let's.
And it seemed like they make a lot. Okay.
No, they make a lot of predictions.
They make a lot of
projections. They make a lot of predictions on The Speak.
From what I'm seeing, I mean, they're at a high accuracy rate. So I mean,
they do make a lot of predictions. And once again, at number 6, we're at 72.2%. That's high.
Yeah, that's
at number 6.
Yeah, that's insane.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and move to the next spot. Next spot, in the number 5 spot, we have Mike Vick.
Okay.
All right. Now, Mike Vick, he was on he was on Fox NFL Kickoff. And on Fox NFL Kickoff, he made some solid predictions. And Mike Vick is Mike Vick. I mean, people love Mike Vick.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say it. I'm happy to see Mike Vick in the situation that he's in after everything he actually went through.
Definitely.
Seeing Mike Vick bounce back the way that he's bounced back and have success that he's had, I could not be happier for the guy. Right. I really, 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 not a sportscaster, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Mike Vick as far as what he actually did on the field during his time on the actual field at Virginia Tech, right? At Virginia Tech and, the Falcons, the Eagles. I mean, tremendous player, tremendous talent, like generational talent.
Right.
To see him having some success here and to see him crack the top 10, I could tell you, if you would have gave me 50 guesses, I don't think I would have guessed Mike Vick.
Me either.
And he's high too. He is 3 of 4, so he met the minimum of 4.
Right.
Okay, and he's at 75%.
Okay. So he's got from what I'm noticing, he's got a low prediction number. So I'm curious to see how he does next week.
Yeah.
To see if he kind of continues on I guess on the trajectory that you got the Shadys and the Emmanuels on, because based on how this list is looking and these numbers, as I believe the Speak probably 3rd week, I think they're
gonna start breaking apart.
Yeah, they're gonna start breaking apart.
We'll see. The Speak does have some benefits of being a high volume predictor. Because they can take a couple L's.
They can take L's.
And it won't impact them as dramatically. Mike Vick, if he takes an L next week, even 1 or 2 L's, he could be knocked completely out the top 10.
Exactly.
So there is some benefit of these sportcasters making a high volume of predictions.
And once again, leader,
we're not saying that they're not making the predictions. We're saying we just couldn't capture all of them.
Right.
And that's where you guys come in. Get part of this. let's help figure out exactly who is the best sportscaster on a quantitative basis.
Right, because if you think about it, like I was saying, like I never watched the speak, but someone obviously is watching the speak to actually get these predictions in. So
exactly.
I mean, yeah, I'm finding out about new sportscasters, and that's the beauty of this app is just, we're putting quantitative data behind these sportscasters, which kind of opens up your eyes to, new sportscasters where it's just like, maybe I should go check them out. Maybe I should go listen to them to see what points they have, because, as you're watching sportscasters and it's all based on, a subjective basis, you kind of fall into like, I guess in a rhythm with them in a sense where it's just like you're not really looking at other sportscasters or actually taking in other opinions from other people. So you're just kind of going with like the status quo of kind of what's going on. So now it's just like this. I feel like the app is going to open up, a whole new realm of what sportscasters actually get watched and who we actually listen to.
Exactly, like who should be considered credible,
right?
Like
exactly.
if you're watching a sportscaster that hasn't cracked the top 10, or you're watching a sportscaster who, if you look at their data, they're only 20% successful, man, you're feeding yourself trash pretty much. Like, I mean, come on now. So that's why I think it is so unique and so the value is in here. You get the quantitative data, and now it's just not a subjective issue as far as who you like, but it's actually who's good at what they're supposed to be doing, which is analyzing these games and these matchups.
Exactly, and I think that's what the key is with the NSL app. It's like we're going down to like the nitty gritty. It's the raw data of like, are you actually good at what you're doing? Like, are you actually right in the picks that you're making? It's like you said, it's not subjective based at all. It's literally, are you who you say you are in a sense,
Exactly.
Okay.
All right, let's move to the next one here. Coming in at the number 4 spot, we have James Jones. James Jones, believe it or not, 18 picks, 18 predictions, 14 of 18 at 77.8. I'll give you one guess what show he's on.
Don't say The Speak.
The Speak. He's on The Speak. The Speak has some people that are making predictions, and they're very accurate with their predictions. They're very entertaining with their commentary. Like I said, I like Shady McCoy on the actual Speak. And like I said, Emmanuel Acho, I like him on The Speak as well. But if I had to say who was my best as far as character and personality, it would be Shady. But James Jones, as far as accuracy, he's above all of them at 77.8%.
Now, did he was he in the league did he play any sports?
I have to research that. I think he did, but don't quote me on that. I don't want to misspeak, but I definitely think he did play some time in the actual league.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check him out.
All right. Let's go to the actual next position at the number 3 spot. Now we're in the top 3. We have, boom, Keyshawn Johnson.
Oh, okay. Keyshawn.
Key. Key is on Undisputed. Key is the actual only commentator on Undisputed that cracked the top 10. We're not gonna go there yet.
They got a football team over there.
When I watch Keyshawn, though, sometimes Keyshawn seems like he's the person on the show that's trying to keep logic and civility and sanity in some of the people's picks. Because sometimes, when you're dealing with
Michael Irvin, right?
Skip Bayless, Michael Irving, and Richard Sherman. That's the new squad. That's the new squad over there.
Like a mess.
But Keyshawn Johnson tried. Sometimes
it's probably entertaining.
It's very entertaining. It seems like he's just trying to keep everybody like, all right, let's stay in reality here with these picks. Let's stay in reality with what you're saying. Do you understand what you're saying right now?
Right.
So he's very
grounded in a sense.
Very grounded, very logical in his actual predictions. Whereas sometimes Skip Bayless, I think he just making picks to
because I think a lot of like you're saying, because I want to say like Skip, and then you have Michael Irvin, and then you have Richard Sherman. Like I feel as though they're very over the top people in a sense. So I can see how some of their picks may be kind of off base in a sense. But okay, shout out to Keyshawn.
There's nothing wrong with being over the top,
right?
Because
be
once
accurate.
Again, there you go.
Be accurate.
Once again, I don't care if they're over the top. I don't care if they, if they're belligerent. I don't care if they're rude. The NSL league and this actual league doesn't care about any of that.
None of that.
We may talk about that in a subjective conversation, but as far as this top 10 concerned, it doesn't take into account their belligerency or their character or anything of that nature. It just takes into account their knowledge about the games and how they analyze the actual matchups. That's it.
Okay.
All right. Let's move to the number 2 spot. Now, we have Maria Johnson. And if you notice, she's T1. She's tied for the first place spot. 4-4, 100%. She hasn't missed one yet. Because she barely cracked the eligibility at 4, a bad weekend can knock her out the top 10 as well.
Right.
But for now, she's on week 2, She is tied for first. And she is a host on Football Night in America, and she has some guest spots on other ESPN programming.
Okay, so Sunday night. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to because I watch Sunday Night Football, but I don't think I've heard of Maria Johnson before. So
I think she played like volleyball or something, like maybe for the Olympic team. I don't know. But I know she's an athlete. She's an ex-athlete in the college level, and I think she may have, like I said, played Olympic trials or something like that. I'll have to do more research on her, but she definitely deserves more research considering that she's tied in the first place spot. Once again, a woman though,
right?
A female. Shout out to her. So shout out to her. Shout out to Maria Johnson. And I've never really I've never really watched her. I had to do some research once I saw that the data had her at the number 1 spot, so I did a little research on her. But like I said, I've never really really been that aware of her talent or her ability to properly analyze these games. So
right. Do you think it's
time will tell. I don't have to think.
Right.
All I have to do is continue to wait for the data to come into the actual app, and we'll see exactly if she maintains that spot or if she falls out. Like I said, she only has 4 picks.
Right.
A bad weekend, she's out the top 10.
Right, definitely.
Another good weekend though.
She should sit up there.
So let's see what happens. So, would you like to take a guess as far as who tied for first with Maria Johnson?
Ooh. The way this list is shaping up, it looks like, I won't say no-namers, but it's a lot of people that, it's not the top-ranked analyst.
It's not a no-namer. It's someone who I know, I'm a fan of everybody. I know this gentleman. I've watched him on multiple different programs. You should be familiar with this person. It's not a no-namer.
Max Kellerman?
No. All right. Max Kellerman, unfortunately, did not crack the top 10. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he was even eligible. I don't think he put in enough sports. He did enough predictions to make the eligibility requirement. So I'll go ahead and display the top for number 1 with Maria Johnson. We have Chris Broussard.
Oh, okay, Chris
Broussard.
Okay.
I like Chris Broussard.
Yeah.
4-4, also at 100%. Chris Broussard is a host on First Things First. Now, here's the funny part about it is, you know who he sits across from on First Things First? Nick Wright.
Oh my God.
Nick Wright is a co-host with Chris Broussard. You would think Nick Wright would shut up sometimes and learn something, but
we'll
no.
Get to Nick Wright.
Nick Wright just continues to actually be Nick Wright.
Shout out to Chris.
Shout out to Chris Broussard, man. Chris Broussard ends the top 10 list. He's at number 1 at week 2 of the data that's being sent into the National Sportscaster League application available on the Apple Store. Please go and download that app. Also, do us a favor, comment, subscribe, go to our YouTube page. Let's hit that like button, comment, tell us what you think about these videos, the content that we're putting out here. We really want to hear from you guys and see exactly what you think about the information that we were able to gather on the actual application. So, what do you think?
I want to hear what happened. Well, shout out to Chris Broussard and shout out to Maria Johnson for the first. The first 2 weeks of the leaderboards, time for top, for the number 1 spot. That's dope. So I'm just excited to see where everybody lands next week, just to see, see if it was a fluke, see if they were actually on the money, see who, maybe switches out the top, the top 3, top 5. So I'm excited to see what happens, but I want to hear what happened with Nick Wright.
Okay, real quick before we go there, I do want to highlight just a couple things that I took from the actual data. Okay. Because once again, you guys only seen the top 10 list. There's a lot of data that I was analyzing on the back end, and there's a couple things I just wanted to mention. First of all, the Speak has 5 of the top 10 people.
How many people on the show?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 consistently, but there's a fifth person that co-hosts. There's a 5th person that co-hosts, and that's Maria Johnson. That's tied for first. She's not a co-host, but she is like a guest from time.
A guest host.
So whenever I looked at her bio, it mentioned to Speak that she's a guest on the actual show sometimes. That's how I got to the actual 5. But Joy Taylor, Emmanuel Ocho, Shada McCoy, James Jones, and once again Maria Johnson as
so what does it Speak? I mean,
it's a good show. Like I'm watching the Speak. Like I tune into it because they're giving good predictions.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get that information on that or look it up. But okay.
All right. Another thing that I looked at here when analyzing the data is that Shannon Sharp only had 2 predictions logged in the system.
Shannon Sharp just does a lot of talking. Shannon Sharp doesn't really make any predictions.
Is that good? Is that bad? I mean,
it's cool if you're
If you just want to hear him talk?
Yeah, if you just want to hear him talk, that's cool. But as far as when it actually comes to, are you accurate in your prediction making? I mean, it's pretty trash.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't want
maybe he'll make more predictions next week. We don't know, but based on the data that we have right now, that's trash.
He only made 10. He wasn't even eligible to be ranked.
Yeah.
And I looked. I tried to find, predictions made by Shannon Sharp myself personally, because I was like, only 2? That's crazy. And I looked and I couldn't find any. But once again, maybe there's something out there and we just missed it. Once again, as we get more people involved in the app, we'll make certain we capture everything. And then, maybe we missed something this time. We won't miss it next time. But I looked very diligently to try to find additional picks or predictions from Shannon.
But what you realize with a lot of these shows with the sportscasters is, a lot of the conversations that they're having is subjective based conversation. It's not really, there's not really subject lines where it's asking you, who do you think is going to win?
Yeah.
There's no force behind actually having these sportscasters make a prediction. The sportscasters that make predictions want to make these predictions, or it's a cool segment in the show to make predictions, but there's no one there telling them like, oh, you have to make a prediction to be an accurate sportscaster. Now there's this time we're in now.
Yeah, it's kind of optional, but if you do watch some shows, especially Sunday morning, the pregame shows on Sunday morning
rip them off. They rip them off.
Yes, everyone makes a prediction on all these games. They put them on actual TV. I love it. It makes it easy to capture. It should make it easy for you guys to capture whenever you're participating in the actual app. Sunday mornings are our game time as well. Not only is the NFL playing, but we playing at home as well. So Sunday mornings are big. Another little tidbit I put out there, because this guy is just extremely popular, is Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless did not make the top 10 list, even though he did meet the minimum of 4. He just wasn't accurate enough. He was only at 50%, and we know that the number 10 spot was at 53.3, so he did not crack the top 10.
Yeah, we'll see how he does next week.
All right, so this is some of the data that we actually have here, okay? So I do want to real quickly say something as far as this data is concerned. But you guys who are either content creators, sports content creators, aspiring content creators, if you guys aspire to create your own podcast and want to talk about an exciting league that's not saturated with a whole bunch of sportcasters already, the National Sportscaster League could be the league for you.
Oh, definitely.
To the data associated with the league, we will give you the data. The way you take that data and manipulate it to actually produce your own actual show or content is your choice. But the data is here. The data is available for potential sportcasters and content creators. And all you got to do is reach out to us. We do have an app that's running on the bottom right hand of our screen that talks about that's looking for content creators or aspiring content creators. And if you guys would like to participate in this actual new league and talk about these things in your own manner, how you'd like to do it, all you have to do is contact us. I think the email is affiliates@nslleague.co. Affiliates@nslleague.co. Send us your information. We will reach out and contact you, and we will start to give you weekly updates on the actual data that's coming into the actual application, and then you can craft your own show. What do you think about that?
I think that's actually dope, and especially because it's a new league. I mean, like, everybody can sit out here and, talk about basketball, give your take on basketball, football. Well, football right now, give your take on that. But, I mean, to be able to actually discuss something new, a new sports league that no one else is talking about, that no one else has data for, I mean, you're just kind of opening yourself up to, being able to engage with the public a little bit more, of having, some interesting content that hasn't been discussed before, dare to be different in a sense.
Yeah. So we're a little late here on this, but we're going to do it again because we had so much success on the last time.
Okay.
Right now, what we're doing is we're going to open up our phone lines. We'll give it a chance to see exactly if anyone takes advantage of the open phone lines to talk about the information that we've kind of displayed out to you guys today. But if anyone would like to discuss any of the information that we've talked about, now would be the time to pick up the phone and call in. We will welcome your commentary. We would love to hear from you. In the meantime, while we're waiting for that to happen, I do want to talk. Oh, we have a call coming in already. Hold on one second, guys. Hello. Are you there? Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, yeah, yes, it is, sir. Let me go ahead and get you online so you can introduce yourself, okay, sir? All right, here you go. Hey, introduce yourself and tell us where you're from, man.
I'm back, guys. Wow. Ron, what's up? Right.
What's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
This is Slim from Birmingham. Man, I've been listening to you guys. You guys have been giving great information tonight. Great information. Yes, I understand the concept of the podcast and of the app, the National Sportscasters app. on another note, this information that you guys just displayed will be very useful for people who are engaged in possibly making bets.
Yes.
I watched that show, The Speak. I had no clue that they were making predictions with that kind of percentage.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I watched this podcast tonight.
Awesome.
I did not know that they were coming in at such a high clip. So shout out to you guys again for providing useful information to guys that use it. Right. So again, I've been listening. I really appreciate you guys' content. I really appreciate you guys breaking it down like you have broke it down tonight, as far as, kind of breaking up some of the confusion on the app and the podcast. I kind of got clarity now. Like you said about kind of catching some of the shows early up in the day to kind of record some of the information. I even find myself now adding my predictions in.
Yes.
So, I see Chris Broussard at the top of the leaderboard, but I'm coming for that spot, Chris.
Hey, let me let you go roll on this one here, Slim. I really appreciate you calling in again. Hey, that's my man. Hey, thanks for calling in. Hopefully we'll hear from you next show, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, and I'll tell you another thing.
How about the Cowboys?
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. Hey, I'll tell you another thing. We're going to have to make a segment for you so you can come in routinely. I'm going to get a graphic put together for you. That'll work?
I really appreciate you guys. Keep going, man. Thank you.
All right, man. All right. Hey, man, you know what? He made a really, really good point as far as people who – because some people do, take what these sportscasters are saying as gospel, and they'll make predictions and bets based off their information. So it's crazy.
Especially
but
if you're running those full game parlays, when it comes to that. I mean, well, now you know.
Yeah.
Go check out the Speak.
10-4. Check out the Speak. They doing real good. At least as a week too. We'll see what future weeks say. But they're doing good so far.
I'm very interested to definitely see how that top 10 leaderboard kind of shapes up. To see see if these I guess the main thing is see if these people with the Speak I can pretty much guarantee they're going to stay on their projection of making those high predictions. Yeah. But then it's just I would like to see about where that gap is, as far as how many predictions people are actually making. The Speak is already at 18, and the next highest person was at 7 or 8.
7 or 8.
7 or 8. So it's just I want to see if the Speak kind of widens that gap, or if these other sportscasters kind of get on the ball and kind of start making more predictions as well.
Well, the Speak week 1 they made a lot of predictions. Week 2 they didn't make that many.
Oh, okay.
Or at least that many wasn't captured.
Okay.
So I'm not saying they didn't make a considerable amount of predictions in week 2. I'm just saying a considerable amount of predictions were captured.
Okay.
So they may not continue to make predictions in that high of volume, but as far as what we captured, those are predictions that were actually made.
Right.
While we're waiting to see exactly if anyone takes advantage of calling in, I want to discuss one more thing here as far as, and this is going to be on a subjective area.
Okay.
Like I said, remember, bywhatright, we're going to talk about the actual quantitative data that's acquired through the actual NSL app, but we're also going to talk about some subjective issues. And one of the things that happened here as far as Nick Wright, because you asked for this.
Definitely asked
for I had the segment about Nick Wright last week, and I kind of told people exactly my opinion and my feeling on Nick Wright. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a fan. I mean, and it just so happens that on that particular show, that particular week, the first week of the game, he was 0 for 3 in his predictions.
Right.
That didn't help.
Trash.
That didn't help.
Trash.
So I made my comment on it, and someone, got in there and commented, someone who watched the show, which, hey, we appreciate you watching the show. Mm-hmm. But they got in there and they stated exactly how, unfair I was being and things of that nature. And I'm like, how am I being unfair? All I'm doing is commentating. This is a sport now.
Right.
Are they unfair when they make their commentation about, another person? I mean, do you think they're being unfair when they make their commentary? I don't think so. I think they're just saying what their opinion is about it. Right. He's a player in this actual league. I was watching the show not just for him, because there are other people on the actual show, but I kind of have to watch him by default, and I'm not a fan. That's all I was saying. I mean, I don't know exactly why the person got sensitive, like they were his cousin or something, and they were very protective about him. But I have to watch him. One thing they said was, "Hey, if you don't like it, don't watch it." Well, I was watching it for a number of other people as well. I was trying to get information. He just happened to be one of the people I was on the spewing
sometimes
nonsense.
I go to the bathroom, but sometimes you smell the person in there, taking a dump too. I mean, it's not like I didn't go in there for that, but I still got it.
It's a byproduct.
It's a byproduct.
It's a byproduct. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward here. I think we've kind of touched on everything we need to touch on. We're coming up to our actual hour of programming here this evening. And one thing we want to actually conclude on, we want to go ahead and we want to mention one of the actual segments that we actually have going on with the actual league and the actual podcast, and that is to announce our the challenge and reiterate the actual challenge out there. So if, for anyone that doesn't know, we have the challenge, and here's the graphic for the actual challenge. Come on down. Boom. It's been 15 days since we laid the challenge out there. Now, let me tell you what the actual challenge is for anyone who doesn't know. We have a challenge out there because right now we're having to go and find the actual data and find the actual information for actual sportscasters. What we would like to see is which one of these sportscasters is going to welcome the competition, and instead of us going out to get the data, they send the data to us.
Hopefully the ones that I just called trash this evening.
I don't know. Like I said, we're 15 days in on the actual challenge here. We're waiting to see exactly if someone picks it up and someone comes on down and sends the actual information. I don't know exactly how far it's going to go, but I'm telling you, there's not really a lot of advantage for this competition for people. The people that are in the position of sportscaster, they do not want to be ranked. They do not want to be identified as maybe being less knowledgeable than they,
definitely don't
portray themselves. So it could be someone who's a smaller sportscaster, but who wants to have an opportunity to challenge some of these more popular brands
and to increase their viewership. Because if you think about it, say you're a prolific sportscaster and everybody finds out that you're making trash predictions and you're not really qualified to be speaking on the things that you're speaking about, people might stop watching you.
Exactly.
And then say you're an up and coming podcaster, you're up and coming sports media caster, you're making these predictions and you're starting to become right a lot of the times. People are going to be more interested in watching you, just like myself. Listening to Speak, I've never heard of Speak before, but I mean, the Speak has, on the second week of predictions, they have five people in the top 10. I mean, something's going right over there.
So that's it for tonight, guys. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. We're coming up on our hour here. That's our time. Hey, keep us in mind. Come follow us up. Follow up with us next week. Next week, we are actually going to be going live on Tuesday.
Tuesday next week.
We're going to be going live on Tuesday next week. So we hope to see you guys here. By What Right Podcast.
I appreciate it.
I hear you talking opinions, but where your facts at? I think it's time that we pull up and do a fact check. Home again, we calling you to the circle. I'm tired of hearing the bull. I'm questioning your discernment, yeah.